It's chaos once again at Ibrox, and this time, things feel different. Not just because of the result, but because of the growing storm that's now consuming Rangers from the inside out. Tempers are flaring, fans are furious, and behind the scenes, the pressure is bubbling to dangerous levels. After yet another embarrassing defeat in Europe, the club finds itself teetering on the edge, and supporters have made it crystal clear they've had enough. Let's start with what went down after that humiliating 3-0 defeat to SK Brand in the Europa League. A match that was supposed to mark a new beginning under the newly appointed head coach Danny Roll turned into a nightmare debut. The German, who was brought in to steady the ship after Russell Martin's departure, watched helplessly as his side crumbled without a fight. 3 matches into the group stage. 3 defeats. 0 points. The dream of advancing? Hanging by a thread. It was a showing that left fans speechless, and not in a good way. And the fallout? Immediate. Ugly. Explosive. Sporting director Kevin Thelwell and chief executive Patrick Stewart were once again in the crosshairs, this time confronted by enraged supporters at Bergen Airport. And we're not talking about a couple of quiet words. We're talking shouting, swearing, and raw emotion, captured on video and now circling the internet like wildfire. You can feel the frustration in every word from the supporters. This is our life. This is everything to us. That's the kind of emotional investment we're dealing with here. These aren't just fans. These are people who live and breathe Rangers, who travel across Europe, spend their hard-earned money, and expect their club to fight, at the very least, with some pride. And yet, what they got in return was another no-show. A Rangers side that looked lost, unmotivated, and completely outclassed. James Tavernier, the captain, didn't hold back in the aftermath. You could see the fury in his face. You could hear it in his words. He called the performance disgraceful, said it's the worst spell he's experienced since joining the club, admitted that, for all the team talks and post-match meetings they've had recently, nothing seems to be sinking in. We're second best in every department, he said. There's just not enough fight. And when your captain is calling out effort levels in a Rangers shirt, you know things are dire. It's not just about tactics anymore. This is about mentality. It's about pride. It's about accountability. Because when you're playing for Rangers, there's a minimum standard expected from the fans, from the club, from the history that weighs on every player who pulls on that jersey. And right now, far too many are falling short. It's one thing to lose. It's another to lose without showing heart. And that, more than anything, is what's igniting this fury across the fan base. Danny Roll now faces a mountain, not just in terms of results, but in rebuilding the confidence, the spirit, and frankly, the trust. Trust between the players and the fans. Trust between the board and the people who keep the club alive every week. His first match was a disaster. No hiding from that. But it would be unfair to place the full blame at his feet after just a few days in charge. The rot runs deeper than one manager. It's systemic. It's cultural. And that's why supporters are turning their anger toward the leadership upstairs. Because let's be honest, this isn't just about one poor result. It's about years of mismanagement, questionable recruitment, and a feeling that the club is sleepwalking through one crisis after another. Fans have long memories, and when they see the same issues resurface time and again, whether it's in the dugout, in the transfer market, or on the pitch, eventually, the patience runs out. That's exactly what we're seeing now. The confrontation in Bergen wasn't an isolated incident either. Earlier this month, similar scenes unfolded in a hotel in Graz. Again, Thelwell and Stewart were approached. Again, emotions boiled over. That's twice in a matter of weeks. It shows the level of unrest. And while some might call it unacceptable behavior, others see it as the inevitable result of deep-rooted frustration that's been ignored for too long. Because if supporters feel they're not being listened to, they'll find a way to make themselves heard. Back on the pitch, the road doesn't get any easier. Roll's next challenge comes in the Scottish Premiership, where Rangers will host Kilmarnock. And while league form is the only realistic route to salvaging the season, the mood around the club is fragile. Kilmarnock boss Stuart Kettlewell has already admitted the difficulty in preparing for this match. With a new manager in the Ibrox dugout, there's no reliable blueprint to follow. Normally, his analysts would review the last 3 games to identify patterns, strengths, and weaknesses. But with a managerial change and just one disastrous game under Roll's belt, Kettlewell and his team are flying blind. Still, there's one thing every opposing manager knows. This Rangers side can be got at. They lack confidence. They lack cohesion. And, worst of all, they lack bite. That's the reputation they're building this season. And if that doesn't light a fire under these players, then nothing will. You look at the Europa League group, and it's bleak. 3 losses, 9 goals conceded, barely a shot on target in key moments. It's no longer about qualifying. It's about dignity now. It's about saving face. About proving that this badge still means something. Because right now, it's the supporters who are carrying the weight, traveling across Europe, filling the away ends, singing till the final whistle. And what are they getting in return? Silence. Excuses. More questions than answers. And for Roll, he has no time to feel sorry for himself. The next few fixtures are massive. Kilmarnock at Ibrox. Then a trip to Easter Road to face Hibernian. And looming just beyond that, the Old Firm semi-final. A match that could either ignite a revival or deepen the crisis. The margin for error is gone. The room for patience has vanished. But there is still time. Time to fight. Time to respond. Time to show that this team still has something in the tank. It starts with effort, with intensity, with pride in the badge. Because if this slide continues, the noise will only grow louder in the stands, online, and yes, even in airports. While the rage from the supporters is impossible to ignore, what's maybe even more concerning is how unsurprising all of this feels. The collapse, the chaos, the same broken record of excuses. This isn't new territory for Rangers fans. It's the repetition that stings the most. Different managers, different signings, but the same heartless, lifeless performances when it matters most. That's why the mood around Ibrox right now isn't just frustration, it's fatigue. People are tired of watching the club stumble through every campaign with no sign of meaningful progress. And this isn't just about missing out on European glory. It's about identity. What kind of team is this? What kind of club are Rangers trying to be? Because right now, they look like a side that doesn't know who they are. There's no structure, no passion, no hunger. When you think of the great Rangers sides, even in the tough years, they had character. They had backbone. They had that bite that made opponents fear a trip to Ibrox. But at the moment, Rangers feel like a soft touch, and in football, there's nothing more dangerous than being labeled that. Danny Roll, for all the potential and positive ideas he might bring, has walked into a firestorm. He's not just tasked with coaching a team. He's been thrown into the middle of a culture war between a fed-up fan base and a leadership group that looks increasingly out of its depth. It's a brutal situation for any manager, let alone one making his debut in Scottish football. And yet, this is where Roll's mettle will be tested. Because if he can rally this group, if he can light that spark, he might just earn himself something rarer than a good run of form: belief. But that belief won't come from empty words and press conferences. It's got to come from the pitch, from performances that speak louder than apologies. When Roll walked over to the away end in Bergen to thank the traveling fans, you could hear them chanting his name. Not out of joy, but out of hope. A hope that maybe, just maybe, this is the moment things start to turn. Because in that moment, they weren't cheering for the result. They were cheering for someone to finally care, to acknowledge them, to show them that their support matters. And that's what this club desperately needs to reconnect with, the supporters. Because right now, there's a disconnect that grows wider with every poor display. Fans feel like they're being left in the dark. Decisions made behind closed doors. Recruitment strategies that make no sense. Coaches appointed with little explanation, then sacked just as quickly. There's no stability. No long-term vision that anyone outside the boardroom can actually see. And when people feel ignored, that's when resentment turns to rage. That's when airports become battlegrounds. It's no surprise that supporters are pointing fingers at the top. Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart might not be out on the pitch, but the decisions they've made, or failed to make, have brought Rangers to this moment. The revolving door of managers, the lack of identity in the squad, the repeated failure to step up in big matches. It all falls back on leadership. And when that leadership is seen walking calmly through airports while fans are raging with emotion, the image becomes symbolic. Distant. Detached. Out of touch. The issue is not just that Rangers are losing games. It's the manner of the losses. It's the ease with which opponents are cutting through them. It's the absence of fight, of urgency, of any kind of resistance. When you lose 3-0 away from home in Europe, you expect anger. You expect reaction. But instead, there's an eerie numbness surrounding the team. It's like everyone is waiting for someone else to fix it. That attitude has to change. Immediately. Because no one's coming to save them. Not the fans. Not the board. Not some miracle signing in January. It's up to the players now to show some backbone. To stop talking about standards and actually raise them. To stop hiding behind systems and formations and win their duels. Make their tackles. Run for the badge. It sounds simple, but that's what's been missing. Basic footballing pride. Stuart Kettlewell said something interesting ahead of the match against Rangers. He admitted that preparing for this version of the team is incredibly difficult because no one knows what to expect. With a new coach, the usual patterns are gone. But there's another side to that coin. Maybe Rangers themselves don't even know what they're trying to do. That's how lost the identity seems right now. Kettlewell and his staff had to abandon their usual process of studying 3 previous games, because what good does it do when none of it reflects what's coming? Instead, they've had to rely on instinct, player profiles, and scraps of tactical information from Danny Roll's previous roles. That alone says a lot. When opponents don't know what you'll do, it can be a weapon. But when your own players don't either, that's chaos. That's confusion. And that's what Roll needs to fix first. Forget the complex ideas for now. Bring back clarity. Bring back structure. Let the players play with freedom, but with purpose. Because make no mistake, this weekend's game against Kilmarnock is massive. Not just in terms of points, but in terms of tone. It's a test of character. A test of resilience. Ibrox will be watching, judging, and the crowd can either lift you or swallow you whole. There's no hiding at home, especially not when your supporters are at breaking point. Roll doesn't need to reinvent football overnight. What he needs is to send a team out there that looks like it knows what it's doing. A team that plays like it's hurting. That chases every ball like it matters. That doesn't wait until the final whistle to show emotion. Because right now, fans aren't asking for miracles. They're asking for effort, for passion, for that fire that used to make Rangers who they were. There's still talent in this squad. Players who, on their day, can dominate any team in Scotland. But that talent means nothing if it's not backed by desire. And that's been the core issue for weeks now. The body language on the pitch tells a story. Heads down, arms raised, walking instead of sprinting. That's what enrages the fans more than the scoreboard. It's the perception that some of these players don't care as much as they do. So maybe that's the challenge for Roll. Not just to change the system, but to change the mood. To lift the fog that's settled over this team. To remind every single person in that dressing room what it means to wear the badge. What it means to play at Ibrox. What it means to have tens of thousands of fans live and die by every result. That kind of passion can be a burden, but it can also be fuel. If he can harness it, channel it, and make this group believe again, anything's possible. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. The Hoops faithful are still picking their jaws up off the ground after what is rapidly shaping up to be the biggest shock of the Scottish Premiership transfer window. Cameron Carter-Vickers, the towering centre-back who's long been hailed as a linchpin in Celtic's backline, has reportedly put pen to paper with none other than arch-rivals Rangers. A move like this isn't just rare, it's seismic. Across Glasgow, the whispers have turned into a roar. The American defender, known for his uncompromising tackles and aerial dominance, is set to don blue instead of green next season. Sources close to the situation suggest that Carter-Vickers had been weighing his options quietly for weeks, with both Celtic and Rangers keeping tabs on his contract situation. While the Hoops were reportedly keen on extending his stay, it seems the lure of Ibrox, coupled with promises of a central role under the Rangers' backroom staff, proved irresistible. Fans on social media have been in meltdown, with debates raging from fan forums to pubs across the city. Some see it as a betrayal, others as a pragmatic career move. Either way, the story has sparked a frenzy that won't die down anytime soon. On the pitch, Rangers are said to be thrilled at the prospect of bolstering a defense that occasionally looked shaky last season. Carter-Vickers' style, strong, disciplined, and no-nonsense, is precisely what the Light Blues crave. He's the kind of player who can intimidate strikers without uttering a word, and his presence alone could redefine Rangers' defensive ambitions. Meanwhile, Celtic bosses are reportedly scrambling, with scouts already scouring Europe for replacements who can step into the void left by their erstwhile talisman. The transfer, though not officially confirmed at the time of writing, has all the hallmarks of a deal that will dominate headlines for months. Rumors suggest that negotiations moved swiftly behind closed doors, with agents and club executives working feverishly to finalize terms before the weekend. Should the move be made official, it's certain to set social media alight, fuel endless debates in Glasgow, and, quite possibly, add another fiery chapter to one of football's fiercest rivalries. For now, the city waits, divided yet undeniably captivated by the drama of Cameron Carter-Vickers, from Celtic stalwart to Rangers' newest enforcer. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.